Hello and welcome to Learn with Indrjeet. This is another video in the series of videos titled Building a To-Do Management System Application in the latest .NET 8 framework from Microsoft. In this series of videos, we are building together a very simple to-do management application to learn various programming concepts. Please note that this is not a production ready application and is for learning purposes only. In the previous video, which was part 1 of implementing sign-up page, we created UI for the sign-up page, which is the registration page of our application. If you haven't watched that video, please go ahead and watch that too. In this video, we'll learn how to implement the code part of sign-up page. So it will be part 2 of implementing sign-up page in the front-end application. It is going to be very informative, so watch it till end, and if you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up. I am very excited to dive in, but before that, I would like to thank all the viewers that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much. If you are new to this channel and haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest content. So let's get started. So here we are in Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and implement the code part of the sign up page that we created in the previous video and do whatever is required to implement a successful sign up page or the register page. So let's go ahead and make the front-end application ready for cookie authentication. Okay. So first of all, in the app settings.json file, let me paste in some of the settings related to cookie names and expiration minutes. So this is the access denied path. If a user is denied access to any resource, he should be redirected to this path, the errors/access denied. So the access denied page will live here in the errors folder. Login path is account/sign-in, that is here. This sign-in, we'll implement the sign-in page in a subsequent video. Logout path would be account/sign-out. So we want to implement a sign-out page. No. We actually want to implement the sign out functionality on the index.cs html.cs file over here. So we'll have a action on get sign out. So let me change it to index.signout. Domain name is localhost. Cookie path is by default // Anti-forgery cookie name is todo-ms _ anti-forgery. Token cookie, this is the JWT token. So the name is todo-ms token _ token. The token cookie expiry minutes, I have set it to 30 minutes. A refresh token cookie name, following the same pattern, the application name _ the cookie name. Refresh token cookie expiry minutes 300. Auth cookie todo-ms _ auth. Auth cookie expiry minutes 30. Session cookie name is todo-ms _ session and the expiry minutes are 30. So same as the token cookie expiry minutes. And the default profile image, if the user has not set a profile image for his login, so we'll show a default image which is default _ user 100.png. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a class out of this JSON. I have shown it to you in a previous video also, but let's go to the application and app settings, and when we are in app settings, Ctrl+Shift+A, cookie settings would be the class. So cookie settings and add. So here is the cookie setting class. In here, go to edit and paste special, paste JSON as classes. So here we have, and let's delete these 3 lines like so and make it public. So we have a class corresponding to all the properties that are there in the app settings. So all these properties are now here, right, along with their correct data types. Okay, thanks to paste special and paste JSON as classes. So if you have a XML object, you can paste XML as classes also, right? So we have the cookie settings ready. Now let's go to the program.cs file in the web app and use these cookie settings to get the front-end application ready for cookie authentication. Okay, so starting from here, we'll have configure cookie settings from app settings.json. So where cookie settings section is equal to builder, we'll ask the builder dot configuration to get the section named as cookie settings. So here we have the cookie settings section and we want to map it to the cookie settings class. So we'll say, hey builder dot services dot configure something to, let's paste it here, from the cookie settings section that we have up above, right? Now let's add anti-forgery cookie, and for that we'll say builder dot services dot add anti-forgery with the options, such that the options would be like we are going to define. So the options would be number 1 header name, it should be XSRF minus token. Let me copy this thing. So paste dot cookie dot name would be whatever is there in the cookie settings section, and the name would be something, and that something is this guy. Okay, so let me copy that and paste it here in order to avoid the typos. Now we'll change it to domain, and the domain is going to come from, okay, let me just group it as a vertical document. So the domain would be domain name, fine. Then we have the cookie path. So Control D, cookie path would be the cookie path from here, like that. After that, we'll have the cookie should be HTTP only. Let's set it to true. So it says indicates whether a cookie is inaccessible by client-side script. The default value is false, but specific components may use a different value. So we don't want the anti-forgery cookie to be accessible from client-side scripts. Next is essential. Indicates if the cookie is essential for the application to function correctly. If true, then consent policy checks may be bypassed. The default value is false. Okay, so we have set it to true. Same site is same site mode dot strict. So we have lex, we have none, unspecified, right? So let's make it strict. It says the same site attribute of the cookie, the default value is same site mode unspecified, but specific components may use a different value. Okay, and then secure policy is same site, not the same site, cookie security policy dot always. So security is always marked to true. Use this value when your login page and all subsequent pages requiring the authenticated identity are HTTPS. Okay, and we have enabled HTTPS in our application. So these are some of the settings that we need to do, and let me just copy these because we're going to use them. I think we are going to use them in the following code. Let's move it to the previous document group, and okay, so now let's add authentication to the application and say builder dot services dot add authentication with options, string default scheme, and the third one is a action with options. It will be lambda expression, and so let's define the default authentication scheme. Options dot default authentication scheme is equal to, this is similar to what we did in here in the web API. See here in the web API, the default authentication scheme was JWT bearer defaults. Okay, but in the front end application we'll have cookie authentication defaults. So cookie authentication defaults dot authentication scheme, like so. Yes, and now the default challenge scheme would be the challenge scheme would be same authentication, and then we have the default scheme as the cookie authentication defaults dot authentication scheme. Okay, now let's configure the cookie. Add cookie with, see we have 5 overloads of this guy, and we want to use the builder plus options, add cookie configuration options, and the authentication scheme plus configuration options. So we are going to use the fourth overload. So the authentication scheme is again cookie authentication scheme auth defaults dot authentication scheme. Let me close that brace, and now we have the options. Okay, so options dot claims issuer, let's do ms over here, options dot access denied path, and where will it come from? It will come from this property. Okay, the access denied path. So let me copy that. Configuration, sorry, cookie settings section, access denied path. Similarly, logout path and login path. Okay, so login, the login path would be, I think we have named it same. Yes, so copy and paste that, and then the logout path would be the logout path. Fine. Now options dot expire time span, and we have set the auth cookie expiry time span. Where is it? This auth cookie expiry minutes, right? So let's copy that, and cookie authentication, cookie settings section, paste, but it has to be converted, so cut that. This is a time span. Okay, so time span from minutes, and here convert dot to int32, whatever we have in this setting, like so. Options dot sliding expiration, let's set it to true, and then we have the cookie name and other parameters. So let's copy all these and paste here. So the name would be, this time this is auth cookie, so the name is auth cookie name here. Domain name would be same, cookie path same, HTTP only, true, cookie security policy is always. Okay, now this is fine. So now go ahead and add session. Okay, okay, so builder dot services dot add session, and two overloads, one is simple and the second is allowing us to configure the options. So let's do that. Options such that options dot idle timeout, and it should be something of this type. So let me copy and paste it here. We'll change the name. So the name for session cookie expiry is this. Okay. So idle timeout is, it indicates how long the session can be idle before its contents are abandoned. So we have set it to 30 minutes as of now. Next is the cookie name and all that we configured over here. So let's copy and paste these here, only changing the name to session cookie name. Let me just confirm that. Yes. Okay. So now we have added session also. Builder.build is fine. Let's delete these comments because we are using middleware and Serilog down below. Okay. Then we have use static files, but we want to have some options. So we have three overloads here: static file options and the request path. Okay. So let's use the second one for options. So new, see, this is expecting an object of static file options. So new static file options, like so. And here we want to say on prepare response, static context, static file response context, such that we can have some options. So const int cache duration seconds. Let me just make it as you. So we are trying to declare a constant for cache duration of the static files. So let's say 30 into 24 into 60 minutes and 60 seconds. So this will be like 1 month. Okay, and we'll use this month in the static file response context dot response dot headers, and let's use the headers dictionary. So header dictionary dot cache control. It is not the dictionary. Header names, this guy. Okay, cache control header should be equal to some string with, let's set it to private, and the max age should be cache duration in seconds. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are setting the cache control header of static files to 1 month duration converted to seconds. Okay, and the header name is cache control, right? We're using routing. Let's say app dot use authentication, and authorization is already there. Let's say app dot use session, and map razor pages app dot run. That's fine. So now we have configured our pipeline. Why is it yelling at us? using, okay, same site mode again, systemnet core http same site, no, systemnet core, why is it asking 3 times when we have here, okay, fine, let's build it once and then we'll go ahead and implement the register page CSS code, the sign up page. So now the pipeline is configured for authentication using cookies. So cookie for anti-forgery, auth cookie and session cookie. Okay. So now in the signup cshtml.cs file, let's implement on post. So on let's do that from here. So public async task of type I action result, and the name would be on post, which is the by default name for form posting. So this form that we have here will post to this action. Okay, so let's do initialize the username and the profile image of the user that is not being passed to this register DTO through that form. So register DTO dot username would be whatever is there in register DTO dot email, one thing, and then second thing is register DTO dot profile image would be the profile image from the app settings, this. Okay, so let me just hard code it for the time being and add a to do over here. So to do change it to be dynamic. Okay, so this guy should come from the app settings.json always. Okay, right now let's check for model state validity. So check model state validity, and we have done this a lot of times in the controllers. Okay, so let's go to our to-dos controller maybe, where we are checking the model state for errors. So let's copy this thing and paste here. So if the model state is not valid, we are getting hold of the model state errors first of all, and then if the errors are not null and the errors count is greater than 0, we are iterating through all the errors, and using the message builder we are creating a string of errors. Okay, but this time we will not return a bad request. Instead, why not show it in the toast message? Okay, so let's inject toaster in here. Okay, so let me just do a refactoring and say cdoor, so that we can have a constructor and then private Let me just take it from the to-dos here. Okay, in fact we are going to use the data service also, so let's copy that and paste here. The first thing is toaster. Add parameters, fine, and using web app dot service interfaces and add parameters. Okay, so now we are injecting these guys. So let's say underscore toaster dot add error message, error toast message, saying message builder dot toString. That's it. So now we have checked for model state and shown errors, and let's return from here, return the page like so. If that is not the case, we want to post the model DTO and get the token VM, get result. Okay, so where GWT token VM, let's name it token VM like so, to be null. Okay, where API response, okay, we have done this before. Response is equal to underscore data service blah blah blah. Where API response, we have done that here. Sorry, not in, yeah, this one. So let's take all this, copy that and refactor it here. So data service dot, not this guy, auth. Okay, and data service is not having anything of that sort, so let's do that first. So in the service interfaces, we want to have a auth service, like just like this to-do service we have. Fine, this is not having anything. This is okay, this looks good. Let's copy and paste that, and this will be auth service with only one method, not inheriting from anything. So this will be auth service, will return a API response and have a, let's name it sign up, and it will take register DTO as the model DTO, maybe model DTO, and in future we'll have sign in, which will take in login DTO as the model DTO and return an API response. Then we'll have change password, and let's not do that as of now. So now in the services, sorry, in the iData service, we want to add the auth service, and let's name it auth, let it be. Okay, again in the services, let's implement the auth service and Okay, the auth service only inheriting from iauth service. Fine. So we'll have the HTTP client service. The controller name would be auth, and we don't want to call any base like that. And instead of these guys, let's implement the interface. So for the time being, we are going to implement the sign up. So let me just comment these out. We want to take something from them like this, and we want to have this line here. So don't throw, return async task of API response from controller name, but in the auth controller we have a register endpoint. Okay, like this, and we'll pass the model DTO over here. Okay, so this will be a post, not a get, sorry. Fine, and now let's say goodbye to them. We'll implement the sign in let me just implement that. Not a problem, because we already have async. We already have the login functionality over here. So we just want to call that endpoint with the model DTO. This time login DTO. Okay, so save, and in the data service, let's initialize this auth like so, and here. So save, close this too, and close them out. Now in the signup.cshtml.cs, we can say data service dot auth dot sign up, and pass in the register DTO that we already have in our page. What is the name? We named it this. Okay, so let's paste that and close the bracket. That's fine. Now it is happy. So messages could not get response from API. If the API response is null, just go ahead and show this message. Otherwise, check if status code is 200 okay. And then in the token view model, that is this guy, convert it to the JWT token view model like that. Nice. And the message would become this, else the message will show whatever we got from API and we'll throw it into the toast. Okay, now not return the page. Before returning, we want to use this JWT token VM that we got from the API. Okay, so before returning the page, we want to do in, let's do that. We have checked the status code, we got the token, and just after getting the token, let's check if the token view model is still null. Then let's add a message. let's add a message. So the message would be, because we have already defined a message, let's say sign up failed and please try later. And do this and do this. Okay, like so. So if the token VM is null, we are setting the message to sign up failed, please try later, and showing a toast message returning the page. Otherwise, if this is not the case, then we want to read and use this token. So var JWT token handler is new JWT token handler, security JWT security token handler, that's fine. If this JWT token handler dot read JWT token from the token VM dot JWT token is JWT security token payload. If this guy is not that, if this is not the payload, then we want to do something. So we are saying if this JWT token is not JWT security token, then we want to again do the same thing like so. Otherwise, set token cookie, let's do a comment over here, read and read JWT using JWT handler. Make sense? So now we want to use the token, set the token cookie, and for that let's create a new function for that. So set token cookies, set token cookies with token VM dot we will use the JWT token as well as the token VM dot refresh token. Okay, so this function is not currently here. Let's make it. We'll have two strings and let's define some cookie options and set the cookie. So we will be having the context accessor and we'll append these cookies to the response. Okay, so let's have the context accessor first. So control D, let's do this IHTTP context accessor underscore context accessor. Sorry, let me put in a underscore here and add parameters to this. Fine. And now here dot http context dot response dot cookies dot append what? First of all, we want to have the cookie name, the token cookie name from app settings file. For that, let's get hold of the configuration too. So I configuration. This is from Microsoft extensions configuration. Let's name it underscore config and add it to the constructor, and in here underscore config, and the name would be token cookie name. So this todo ms token would be fetched. Yeah. Okay. Then it asks for the value, and where is the value? This one, JWT token is the value, JWT token. And then we want to have the options. So let's do that. Token cookie options, not having this, so let's create this, where copy paste that is equal to new cookie options with the following nice properties. So which properties do we want to have here? These. So the name we have already given. We want the domain path expires, HTTP only is essential and secure and same site, blah blah blah. Let me just copy these and make use of all these here, and let's do some. So shift alt and remove all these, and instead of these, Control H, let's replace these semicolons with a comma in the selection, like so. And instead of cookie settings section, we'll have config. So underscore config, that's it. Not required the cookie path. So domain will be config and the domain name. I think this will not come from config. Okay, we'll have to use options pattern to access the cookie settings.json file. So in the constructor, we want to set the cookie settings from the app settings and then use those here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Like so. Cookie options, cookie settings, where is the cookie settings using app settings.json? Let's name it cookie settings, and in here I options of cookie settings. Let's put a underscore here and like this, and then this guy would be equal to this dot value. Okay, so this is the options pattern where we set a class based upon the settings present in app settings.json file. Okay, so now we can use, sorry, I forgot a semicolon here. Now we can use this guy and say dot, see, domain name is here as a property of the class. So we don't have to use the config. So where we used it, okay, here, yeah, token cookie name would also come from the cookie settings. So let's change that. So underscore cookie settings dot token cookie name, like so. And now we don't need this, so let's remove this and let's remove this. Save. Fine. Now the domain is done. Now we have let's set HTTP only. Let's set the path. So the path would be underscore cookie settings dot path, the cookie path. HTTP only is fine, is essential is true, same site is same site strict, and not secure policy, it is secure, and let's set it to true. Oh, sorry. And one more, expire. So expires would be a time span. It would be a date time offset. So date time offset dot UTC now, add minutes, and this will take in double. So convert dot to int32, convert to double, maybe. We don't have minutes in fractions, so let's convert it to int32, and where from we'll get the expiration of token cookie. So token cookie expiry minutes, where is it? Token cookie expiry minutes. Okay, fine. So we are setting token cookie options and passing it to the while appending the cookie to the response. Okay, the same way we will have to do for the refresh token. Okay, so let's do that by copying, and sorry, let me just refactor that, and then okay, so this is refresh token cookie options. The domain would be domain, cookie path would be same, HTTP only is essential, secure, same site, expires will have not the token cookie expiry, refresh token cookie expiry minutes, and the name would be refresh token cookie name, and here we'll have refresh token cookie options, and the value would be refresh token that we are getting from the parameter. Okay, so set token cookies is fine. So we are setting token cookies. Now let's sign in the user. The user await user sign in. User sign in is not a function as of now. So out of the payload, we want to pass in the claims. Okay, so let's first pass the payload that we got from here, and payload dot claims. Okay, and these claims are system security claims. Okay, let's generate a method over here. Not okay. So the main thing here is we want to use the http context.signin async function. So let's do that. Await the context accessor dot http context dot sign in async, this one, and this guy will demand let's use the scheme, claims principal, and authentication properties. Let's use the fourth overload. So the scheme would be cookie authentication defaults authentication scheme, cookie auth authentication defaults dot authentication scheme, one thing. Then the principal, the claims principal, and the claims principal will come from claims identity, and the claims identity will come from the claims that we have in the payload and the auth scheme. So instead of doing this here, let me just cut it and have a variable for that. So auth scheme would be this, will have claims identity is equal to new claims identity, and the constructor asks for the claims and the scheme. So claims we already have, and the scheme we just defined above. So, and now claims principal. So where claims principal is equal to new claims principal 5 overloads, and we want to use the identity. So we have the identities. So claims identity, this one, right? We are using the third overload with the identity that we have. And now in the sign in async, we want to pass the auth scheme, then the principal that we have. So claims principal, CLAIMS, claims principal, and then authentication properties. Okay, so authentication properties, let's do one thing, let's define those two. So authentication properties, okay, let's name it auth properties, is equal to new authentication properties with some of the options: allow refresh, true, is persistent and expires UTC is like a date. Yes, so date time dot UTC now dot add minutes. How many minutes to be added? Auth cookie expiry minutes. So add minutes takes in a double value, same. So let me just convert that. Let's pass the auth properties as they are in here, put in a semicolon, and add minutes will have something of this type. So paste that. Only thing is we'll have auth cookie expiry minutes. So this expects a date time offset. So date time offset dot UTC now add minutes, and I think we are done with that. And now fine, save. So now we will not need this message and description anymore. So the user will be signed in, and now it's time to test that. Okay, so let's go ahead, remove unnecessary using, save all, build and rebuild, and let's check if we are able to log in, register a new user or not. So let me just open the database. Okay, so here in the database we have 2 users as of now, and let's go ahead and put in a debug point on post, and let's go through it once again. So we are setting the username, profile name, checking the model state, then trying to get the token view model from the API. If that is null, we are showing a message, yes. If that the status code is 200, then we are converting the API response data property to the token VM. If that is null, we are returning back to the page, then trying to read the JWT token using JWT security token handler. If not able to do that, returning the page, else set token cookie and user sign in. This guy should not be here. Okay, so in case of all errors, so if the user is signed in properly, then we want to return redirect to page, and the page would be let's say index, right? And on the index page, let's put in a property. So if we come to this page, if user dot identity is authenticated, then we want to set where x is equal to 1 maybe. So we want to check if the user is authenticated or not. And now let's start the application and try registering a new user from here. Okay, so here we hit the index page. Let's see if this property is true. No, so let's go ahead. Okay, Let's go to the sign up page. Let's put in a full name like test user 3 and test user 3. What format are we using here? Test user 1 2 3, not a dash. Okay, test user 3 at gmail.com. phone number. Okay, password, so the good old password. Okay, and then let's click sign up. Okay, it hits the on post function, and so the registered ETO now should have every field fine except the role. We'll put in role later on. So the model state is valid. It goes to the API and okay, so the response is 200. Okay, user registered successfully and we have a JWT token. Now let's read the token, and in fact let's go to the application and let me show you the cookies. Okay, so at this time we have only one Todo MS anti-forgery cookie, and if we go ahead, set token cookies and sign in, and then it will redirect to the index page. So let's continue, and now let's check. See, the authentication property is now true. Okay, so we are setting var x to 1. Fine, so continue, and here no, we don't want to save the password. So right now we have the auth cookie, the token and the refresh token. The cookies are set fine, and here see we have the menus, the links that we decided for an authenticated user. So now the user can change the password or sign out. Okay, so we'll implement the sign out functionality. For the time being, if I delete all the cookies, if I delete the auth cookie, see, and refresh, now I'm signed out. Okay, so we'll implement the sign in page, the sign out, and we'll refactor some of the things in the sign up page when we are entering a password into the system, right, in the subsequent videos. So let me close out of all these, stop the application. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Your support means a lot to me. This encourages me to invest more time and create more valuable content for you. Remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on future videos. In the comment section, please let me know what you learned from today's video. If you have any question or suggestion, feel free to drop them in. I read and respond to as many of them as I can. To watch more videos on the same topic, check out the playlist or visit the channel. You are most welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Keep learning.